Welcome back to It Tastes Like Burning. This is Matt.
This is Jesse.
We had a brain pause there. I wasn't 100% sure what was about to happen.
Or who he was.
Yeah, or where I'm at. Who put me in this car? So if you ever feel like having questions, concerns, comments, issues, practical issues, life lessons, general advice, or quite frankly, terrible advice, reach out to us at ittasteslikeburningcast@gmail.com. And also find us at Twitter at ITLBcast. And you can support us on Patreon, but the main thing we're always hunting is likes, clicks, subscribes, reminders, and thumbs up, stars, and reviews.
Comments, reviews. Yeah, absolutely. So we did a thing last Sunday, didn't we?
We did?
Yeah, we did a thing. We did a live stream.
It was like the equivalent of crossing the Rubicon or a moonshot for us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I couldn't believe that it was that dry there.
Yeah. Yeah, we had our first live stream, and yeah, you should have. Great feats. Herculean feats.
Yeah. Audio wasn't the best. There was some humming in the background. We'll sort that out for sure. That audio in that live stream's probably going to live on YouTube. That's where its home is. It won't make it into the audio version of the podcast. Just wasn't quite good enough, right? It was a little all over the place and a little bit little poor audio. So, but that being said, hey, it was the first one, so that, we got the bloody nose on that one. We did make it happen though. So
coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah. And it's there. It's on the YouTube. So if you're curious, jump on there and look at that. What we covered in that live stream was the proposed OSHA rules, which if you don't know about that, that's a good place to start. Jump on there on the YouTube and educate yourself on what's being proposed and kind of what you can do for what you want to do. Oh, look, you're going to join the AARP. You'll be the second youngest person ever.
Yeah. I'm not that old, damn it. I may feel that old, but I'm not that old.
Yeah. That's a different RP. That's not retired.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't supposed to show you that email. So, Jesse, what'd you do this weekend?
I spent a weekend with my wife, which was much needed, and it was time. She's gotten the fire department into the stick for the past probably 2 months. So, yeah, it was time. She deserved her time. So, thanks to her for putting up with all this, because trust me, I'm gone a lot more than I'm home.
Unless that's by her design.
Maybe 15 years ago. Now we're empty nest. So,
Well, inquiring minds want to know what grandiose plans did you have with your lovely lady?
We ran to Oklahoma and partook in the debauchery of gambling and libations and
help make those native reservations a little stronger.
Yeah. Tried to prop them up a little bit financially. They're struggling. It's hard to have a $40 billion casino without people helping keep the lights on.
Well, it is the only casino seen from the International Space Station.
Yeah.
So there is that.
Yeah.
It's got to get the priorities.
Yeah. So, you got to do some of that stuff probably more often than we all do it, because trust me, if you're a volunteer firefighter, your wife would like you to come home sometimes.
I just want, for the record, I wouldn't know. And I encourage everyone to be that way. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Perpetual bachelorhood's the way to go.
Yeah. It's a way to go.
No, it's the way to go.
That's what I thought I was going to do. And then I got married, and then, 7-8 years later had a kid. And Been married a long time though. I'm on 97 to 23, 26 years.
I've been a bachelor longer.
26 years, so that's a pretty good amount of time. You did some things this weekend too. You had a last minute, oh yeah, I'm in this class that I didn't get notified of.
I owe everyone at SFFMA and the lead instructors of the Fire Chief Development Program an apology. I was signed up and made a class that I actually really wanted to go to, and now hell, we'll just call it ineptitude, stupidity. Somehow or another, I missed the email, and our partners in crime that happened to be from Hood County also were down there, and they sent me a picture of a roster with my name on it and a whole bunch of signatures of everyone else around. And I'm like, what is this? And he's like, well, you're the one signed up for it. I had no clue. So I left my hometown and I don't know, 8:30 at night and got to my grand destination of Buda, Texas at right about midnight, and had class that morning for a fire chief development program taught by SFFMA, with the given assumption that I miss Friday. Saturday and Sunday were good.
Yeah.
So it's truly a really good program. It's something that here in Texas, it's a little bit all-encompassing. I'm going to try and ramble on here for just a minute or two while I actually pull up the website, and I'll let you know just what some of the light material was that we had covered for week one. It's a grand total of 4 class breakouts for a grand total of, I think it's 12 or 13 days. During the first week, Friday night was covered was Fire Chief 101. That's the one I missed, the one most needed. Saturday was Governance and Administration, Community Profile, and then today, Sunday, day of recording, was Goals and Objectives. The Governance and Admin section was, frankly, fantastic. Very, very, very comprehensive. The only thing, and I left this in a comment of the course, give a review of the course, is this would be beneficial to me is, do you have reference material that we should be referencing to? So the Itawak 9000 rendition from, the Oklahoma Proud Tribe, whatever, or the Texas Governors Association, or NFPA, or IFSAC, or SFFMA, or quite frankly, Microsoft Leadership Team Development. What is your reference material for these slides? The 2 instructors were fantastic. One of them came up in the Houston ESD systems.
Both of them pretty much.
Yeah. One of them, I would say, one of the gentlemen was, well, I can say their name. It was Mike Montgomery, longtime chief and administrator, and wear many hats in the Houston ESD system. I primarily know him coming up through Klein, and then Andy Dexter, same thing, came up through the Klein ESD, and these are big ESDs. For anyone that's not in Texas, and maybe you're listening internationally, the Houston ESD volunteer system, quite frankly, whatever you have, it ain't that. And I feel pretty confident saying that, just to kind of put things into perspective. Sci-Fair, which just recently went and is finishing its transition to a fully paid department, serves a community of 650,000. and they were volunteer. So, yeah, my hat goes off to them. That's a completely different animal. And to try and compare that to our little teardrop of an organization that's not even the same ballpark. That said, each and every organization has its own challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. And I truly get it when your population served is passing that 500,000 mark that you it's just easier to do it a different way, right? It's too difficult of a concept to be a volunteer organization.
Well, it's
it
not that
truly is.
volunteer.
And there's enough money that
That's part of it. Let's be honest. Money makes a lot of problems go away, and the one 5 pounds of flesh sin that you will always pay being volunteer is this question: will they show up? Okay, and I don't care how strong your organization is. That's a factor on every single call, and unfortunately, there's just going to be a time and a need where it's too complex, there's too many variables, and they need consistency. And you can't have this inconsistency that volunteers are going to have. Now, there is one crazy thing that I don't like out of those big ESDs that were in the Houston area. And I personally think this is a terrible idea, and I understand why they did it. Those stations, let's pretend that it's a engine tower and squad station. So what they would have is actually a redundancy of everything. And you'd have, instead of 3 bays, you'd have 6. And you'd have a duct tape line drawn down in the middle in between the 3 bays. And the volunteers are on one side and the career guys are on one side. And they never cross. They never cross. They never interact. They don't do anything. They don't train together. They don't eat together. They don't joke together. They don't do anything together. They're independently and 100% separate. And they do that because, quite frankly, volunteers and paid in the combination department have a struggling time getting along. For many various reasons. Some legitimate, some are reinforced by the volunteers, and some are reinforced by the paid guys. And so it makes operating that way exceedingly expensive, especially when you're having to double up on apparatus.
Yeah.
And good, bad, or indifferent, that was their system. And I don't know, they operated that way for like 25 years. I mean, it's not 6-minute shot like that. They did that for a long time. And I think a combination of 75 different factors that are known and probably 14 trillion that are unknown, it was finally made to finally go fully career. I mean, not to mention, I don't know what the call volume is on a department that side. 20,000?
A lot.
I mean, and I've always heard this rumor from a lot of different people. Pasadena was always the one acknowledged as the biggest volunteer department in the U.S., but it was actually always Cy-Fair. And I don't want to steal any Pasadena's clout there. Don't get me wrong. That's a serious volunteer department. And them guys down there do serious work. And they got serious fire complexes that they work in. And if you're not in Texas and you're not familiar with Pasadena, they're primarily responsible with them in the Houston Ship Channel Fire Department, Houston FD, protecting the entirety of the USA's and North America's largest petrochemical and hydrocarbon complexes. These are some of the most important and vital resources our country has.
And they're flammable.
And they're highly flammable. So, yeah, I don't want to steal anything from Pasadena because that's some serious work them guys have the potential of doing down there.
Yep. So that's a recap of the weekend. What else have we had?
Well,
We've
that's
had
only
more going on than you can shake a stick at.
Yeah, no, it's insane. One of the things we were talking about in our we'll call it our YouTube first airing of our YouTube is our and it was our write up consideration and ultimate kind of some issues with the new OSHA mandate that's coming out. I don't want to really hash through that a lot. All I can say is that if you have the time, energy, and effort, jump online, maybe actually do some reading about it, try and find some other resources that have maybe done some reading for you, and maybe check out how it has an implication to your organization as a volunteer. I think you might be significantly disappointed.
Yeah, it's got some financial burdens with it. Let's just put it that way.
Then we have a new office administrator.
That's awesome.
And I know for everyone else outside of my reality, you're like, what the hell are you talking about with that? Well, I haven't had help, since July. And it's been terrible. And the good news is, and I personally really appreciate this, I think our office administrator is frankly pretty feisty.
Yeah, pretty awesome, I think.
And we need someone like that.
Yeah.
That has like a baby seal bat already planned and tucked away under the desk and is ready to tack some people down. So make for a, I would argue, smoother transition than a longer one.
And she's well organized. I'll give her 100% kudos on that. I mean, within a matter of a few hours a day, I mean, at least the place looked the part, right? It definitely was
unfortunately
much more
for her,
organized.
she didn't have anything else to really do because our computers didn't work.
Yeah.
So, and even though I don't think our old office admin administrator will hear this, I just want to thank her for all her time, energy, and effort. Because it's a unique position that we offer. It is not hard, but it is time consuming.
It's not easy either.
No.
But it's work, right? It's just work.
It's the Lord's work.
Yeah.
Open records requests and POs.
Yeah.
Trying to think. What else? Oh, there was that minor thing about the trucks.
Yeah.
We got some new trucks coming. 2 more. That's 4 for the year.
Yeah.
I usually call that a pretty good year.
Yeah, that we'll see in,
What does it matter when they
3.
come in? On paper, I win.
Yeah, the whole ordering a fire truck situation in 2024 is insane.
It's absurd. I cannot believe that. Here's the problem. This problem's not going away. Okay? I'm going to step out on a political limb here and just understand that I'll be very, very nice when I say this. Our current U.S. administration, believe it or not, in my opinion, had nothing to do with causing the inflationary problems that we're having. I'll say this. They sure as hell did nothing to actually help or resolve it either. And that there's some gigantic factors on the supply and demand side, and the fact that an entire generation of Americans are leaving the workforce in flux. That's the boomers. They're retiring. And Jesse's generation and my generation, through getting screwed for the last 20 years, is not prepared, and we are smaller in number than replacing our parents and grandparents. And 5,000 other factors. I'm telling you, you can reference this in 20 years. In 20 years, you will start to see the inflation numbers start to swing back to what we would consider reality. And you'll start to see American manufacturing finally catching up with the American market. Till then, you will continue to wait 2 to 4 years for fire trucks and tools and theoretically PPE and hose and on, because it's going to take that long for the button to hit reset.
Well, and you're doubling down on the whole. Everybody they all hold off, right? They hold off until they just have to have the daggum thing before they start moving forward on planning and implementing the plan to acquire the piece of equipment. It's literally we're past the point of we had to have this 5 years ago before we get to the point of trying to acquire it.
Right.
And so as everybody's seeing that this, oh crap, it takes 3 years to get an engine, everybody's starting to look forward to the next 5 years, and they're doubling up orders or tripling up orders to try to cover their butts on their replacement apparatus. And so it's just compounding the problem at present. I mean, if you're Dallas, you know how many trucks you buy every year. You know if it's going to take 3 years to get them in, that you probably ought to order some extra ones so that you're not waiting for another 3 years for the ones that are coming after that. So, there's no reserves left. Departments are they're either running out of the reserves because they crashed one or whatever, or they're buying up the used market and it's inflated because there's no supply out there.
Oh, the used market's insane right now. I have a massive battleship ladder truck that I wish I could sell it right now because I still think I could get over $125,000 for it. And 3 years ago, this thing wasn't worth its weight in paperweights across the scales. That's so infuriating. Stupid thing is the damn thing, when I finally have the opportunity to sell it, I still may be able to get $125 for it.
Yeah.
Which is just asinine. On a completely unrelated note, we were looking at buying kind of like a new command transport vehicle. And we're looking at Tahoes. Well, GM, take this as for what it's worth. GM said that they're only going to have slotted for production this year in Texas 24,000 Tahoes. And they're probably already saying they're only going to deliver half.
Yeah.
So guess what we didn't order?
No Tahoe.
Yeah, we didn't order a Tahoe. We went after a Expedition.
Yeah. Which, it'll do the same job. It's the same class of vehicle. There's nothing wrong with that. Ford versus Chevy, but that market of vehicles is still screwed up. It's better than it was 2 years ago, for sure, but it's still screwed up, and it's gonna stay screwed up.
Yeah, it's not that they can't produce the vehicles, it's that all the ancillary equipment that goes in the vehicle, between the foam in the seats, to the metal in the seats, to the sensors in the seats, to the pleather that covers the seats, or the leather that covers the seats. Yeah, it's all different supply and times.
Yeah.
Like there's no consistency or guarantee there at all.
Well, cows age slower now.
Right.
Since COVID.
Is that what it is?
I think so. It's harder to get leather and naga hide because it's such a rare species anyway, the naga. It's hard to find them to get their hides.
It's like the shmoo.
They're weird, though. They grow it back like within a few weeks. You harvest it and it grows back. It's so weird. Pour oil on it, I think. Helps it grow back. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Did you see that in a Dr. Seuss book?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do we got going on?
just trucking along. We've got new rookie school set to start in a month, a little over a month, or a little under a month now. Area school and district meeting happening in a little less than a month. Just one thing right after another, and all this stuff's going to just pile in like hard and fast as it can. Everybody's settling into their new positions. Arguably, that transition was pretty smooth. I didn't see any real big hiccups with any of that.
No, that's actually been pleasantly pleased on that.
Yeah.
We have a tax issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's awesome. Yay, IRS. Shouldn't be that bad. I'm trying to think. Oh, we're getting closer and closer to our 3 new EMS and fire stations. We haven't really talked a lot about what's kind of happening on the county side and the uniqueness of our county and our commissioners and judge. So being volunteer, we actually are given a pretty healthy subsidy from our county. It varies between 105 and 115,000 a year right now. I know it'll be up next year. Our commissioners just purchased 5 new tankers, 5 new pumpers, 2 vehicles for us, and a new ambulance. For a pretty serious, healthy investment. The irony of it is that, woe is the fiscal conservative. So the way our commissioners court operates is and one of the main things that they have is requirements for debt burdens, and that they have to pay those requirements off. Well, what our county inadvertently did is they managed to put themselves into a position without having any paying off all their debt. And as stupid as this sounds, that actually puts them in a very bad spot from a state legislature and tax collection point of view. So they had to issue debt just simply because it makes things easy.
Yeah, it gets them a little bit. Well, and two, it helps them if they actually needed some debt, right?
Well, in this case, they desperately needed the debt.
Yeah.
Like this was not up for debate. They had to buy something. So whether it be fire trucks or, I don't know, pina colada umbrellas for everyone, they had to do something.
Yeah. Well, and they're looking at some bigger projects down the road that are going to take way more
huge amounts of debt.
Yeah, way more debt than what we're talking about with 13 apparatus.
Yeah, they issued $7.5 million in debt, and they plan on paying it off in 3 years.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they have a hospital district that they have to look at, a new jail. Then I know the county commissioners don't issue school bond debt, but that's one. Then we have a large influx of people and population into our county, because evidently we're just that awesome. And so you're going to have growing pains debt, and then you have major highway and infrastructure debt that's probably coming down the pike. And just a good time to go ahead and get that out there and under the radar.
Yeah, get some stuff going before it becomes worse. And again, you're waiting 3 years for a truck.
Right.
So
yeah,
by the time these trucks come in, they'll have them paid for.
Right.
Theoretically.
No, will.
Yeah.
Realistically. Yeah. That's pathetic when I think about it that way and you say it that way. Yeah. That's how bad that is.
Yeah. They'll be paid for upon delivery.
Make a good newspaper article.
Yeah. Speaking of newspaper, we stay in that pretty regular.
Yeah, we do. We have the benefit of a board member. This guy, I'll tell you what, he legitimately missed his calling as a young man, middle-aged man, and as a retired man. He should have been somewhere in community service. This guy, man, I don't know if I've ever encountered that. he is absolutely just the best thing since holes in Swiss cheese. So community centered, so centric to our organization. And I mean, just the man loves to help us. Huge ways, and sometimes huge ways or little ways repetitively. He has a fantastic relationship with the city and county. Well, frankly, anyone. If anyone had a problem with this guy, get away from him.
Yeah, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah. And he does such a good job of talking to our local media outlets. And he's so proactive for the organization. It just, well, frankly, it makes me look like a schmuck because he does so much positive work on the side. I wish every organization out there could have 10 of them.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. If we had 10 of him,
Rule the world.
we wouldn't have much to do, would we?
Kind of along the lines of the newspaper also, we've started we've beefed up our recruiting and retention budget. And the local, I guess we'll just call them advertising specialist.
It's our marketing company that we hired, and we talked about this it's been 2 years ago.
I am trying to remember the name of her company. It's Amy Winters.
I don't know what her company's called.
I have a receipt. Give me 1 second. Let me go look up this receipt real quick.
So our marketing firm that we hired 2 years ago, when we kind of kicked this off, realized, and it was around the same time the podcast fired up. So there's an episode there where we talk about marketing, recruiting and marketing, and how basically we're idiots and we have no business doing our own marketing because we frankly don't know what we're doing. It's not what any of us do, even though we have a marketing expert on our department. He works in a different realm of marketing. He's like trade show booths and stuff like that, which is kind of different than what we're trying to do. We're more website, social media, public engagement type stuff that we're trying to do. So if we were trying to have a giant cool display at a fair, he'd be an awesome guy for that. Huge resource. But it's just kind of, it's not what he does. So we hired a firm, and this firm does a fantastic job, has for the last 2 years. And basically they came to us and said, all right, guys, it's time to basically put up or shut up. Let's double down on what we're doing. It's been successful. We have the data to show that it's been successful. You've grown a bunch. Let's get serious about it and let's see what we can really make happen. And so we embarked, and if Matt finds this invoice, he'll let you know.
Yeah, it's Trevo Creative Partners LLC. They're based out of Granbury, Texas. The lead designer that we've always worked with is Amy. Guys, she's does great websites and at a really good price. And if you're questioning about that, just look at our website at GVFD Golf Victor Foxtrot Delta.org. Check out our website. I mean, boy, she is looking, she understands volunteers.
That's what I was going to say. She took the time to learn about the organization and the challenges and what we were trying, and listen to our goals and then steer us in the direction of the right thing to do.
Right. And her fee at the time was $1,200, maybe a hair more, and that was to build a website, hosting, on and on. And I can tell you, I probably stretched that a little far, and she was gracious in what she was giving us extra. I can't tell you that we have some secret squirrel bonus code for you, but man, if you talk to her, reference us.
Well, I'll tell you what. If it's something you're truly interested in, shoot us an email at ittasteslikeburningcast@gmail. We'll get you that discount code. We'll figure that out.
Yeah,
Like
we'll
that's
make
a
it
thing.
happen.
That's a thing we can make happen. It's such a niche thing, and most departments have some guy or some kid, that I can make a website.
Oh God, don't do that.
Yeah.
We
yeah.
did that. We did that for years, and it was terrible. It was just terrible. And it's nothing against Dingus McGee, but just frankly, people care more when they're paid.
The the problem is, and it's not so much that they might care, right? The problem is that just because you can make a website doesn't mean that you understand.
Doesn't mean you should.
Well, that too, but it doesn't mean you understand the psychological connections and the sociological connections of that website to do what you want it to do. And that's truly what it is. What is your goal with this website? And what do you want to do with it? And how do you tailor it for it to achieve that goal?
Yes, no. Everything you're talking about's real important. Like, don't just have a website to have it. Because if you've got a website and you just toss up there, here's...
Did you name that? Oh yeah, that's those.
That's my weekend something.
Yeah, that's convenience store burritos kicked in.
Christ, where's the fan? If your website has no purpose other than just to label your trucks and your members, well, that's what you've created, is a directory. And you got to think about that. If you're trying to build something like a landing page for recruits, then your web page needs to look like something that recruits would want to look at. So just kind of keep that into perspective. And don't get me wrong, Amy will build whatever customized website you want. Okay? If you want a directory, it's going to be a top-notch directory.
I literally think it's episode 2. If you go back and find episode number 2, we dive way deep down this rabbit hole and what it is. And we had a guest on that was somebody from the marketing industry that had a little bit better knowledge than we did. Forrest. But yeah, we had him on. It was a good conversation. We learned a lot that we took back to the person that we hired and said, hey, what do you think about this? We think we're idiots. How do we not be idiots? And it's paid huge dividends. And we're literally doubling down on it. What's the budget this year?
$5,300.
And that's for a 3-month campaign.
Yes. So, we were looking at doing 3 campaigns through the year. 2 for sure. So looking at spending, let's just call it $15,000, $10,000 to $15,000 for the year on marketing. Right.
And the second round and the third round might be a little bit cheaper because you're going to reuse some stuff, and it's not always going to be that, right? The ad spend's going to be what the ad spend is, but some of the carryovers of the creative work that gets to get recycled some, and some of that, yeah. But realistically, what percentage is $15,000 of our budget?
Less than 1% of 1%.
Of our budget.
Mm-hmm.
What's the normal industry standard for a business to spend on marketing?
Well, it truly depends on the type of business you have. But let's say you're more on the consumer side, mm-hmm. which I would argue that we need to be advertising on, even though we're not consumers. That's the level of marketing that we should be at. So what would be consumer?
A gym.
A gym, 7-Eleven, liquor stores, car dealers, retailers. Usually anywhere, God, at the bare minimum, 20%, but as high as 30%
of their total budget.
of their total budget. And again, that's going to be targeted, sometimes blanket, but particularly at specific times. Probably one of the better examples I think of this, and it's a really polished product and they pay an absolute premium, is when you think of in the holidays, Mercedes-Benz they do the car ads with a big red bow on the car. You should see the money they're spending on those ads. They work.
Because the bottom line, unless you're Tesla Volunteer Fire Department, you've got to spend money on this stuff. And they spend money on it, right? They just don't buy ad space.
Right.
Which is a little bit different of a plan. But you're not that. You're not Elon. You're not. You can't do it.
And if you are, and you're listening to this,
join Granbury. We got a place for you.
I got a spot for you.
Yeah.
I've got an R&D department. Jesse, you got anything else?
No, I think we went all over the place, but that's good. Just kind of goes to show how many irons are in the fire at any given moment, right?
I don't know what we're gonna. It's gotta slow down sometime. And I'm telling you, we are gonna be insane through the end of June.
Mm-hmm. And then that works into my busy time where I'm super busy anyway. I become absent for 3 months out of the year because that's when my business is busy. And that's obviously not great, but it is what it is. And
that's all right. You got minions.
I do have minions. I may have to acquire more. Figure it out, right? That's kind of the bottom line for the whole deal. Figure it out. Yeah. Oh. I hope that's sneeze. That other thing you did was horrible.
If you're grimacing that hard for a fart, you're not prepared.
You're not. Don't trust it. It's bad. It's bad.
All right,
guys. I just want to encourage you to bounce into that YouTube channel. Check out that live stream. We're trying to get the YouTube kind of built up. It's kind of been weird. We were going gangbusters on it, and then it just fell off the earth. And
there was an email I saw. Did you see that?
Yeah,
okay.
I saw that email. It was a little weird.
I didn't understand that email.
I didn't either, but I kind of did.
It was theoretically in English, and I think it confirmed what we were talking about weeks ago.
Yeah. We just felt victim to the algorithm there, and just being I think what happened is they gave us some privileges and some clout because we were moving existing Google Podcast format into YouTube, because the Google Podcast is going away. If you're listening to us on Google Podcast, well, you won't be in about another 3 or 4 months because it goes away, and it's going to the YouTube platform. And we made that transition months and months ago, like 4 months ago. Whenever they first allowed you to make that move to start dumping that content in there, we went ahead and did it so we'd be ahead of the curve. And I think they had to, in order to make that happen, they had to give us some rights and some privileges and frankly some things we didn't deserve because we were a new channel, right? And I think they walked some of that back, and we lost a little favor with the algorithm because of they walked back some of those features that we were using that we truly didn't deserve, because the YouTube channel's literally 4 months old.
Right.
It shouldn't get what it was getting, and it shouldn't do what it was doing. But we were happy with it. It was awesome. So anything you can do there, you know, watch everything 5 or 9 times from your phone and then go home and watch it from your TV and then get your kids to watch it. In fact, force them to watch it as bedtime stories because that
On a loop.
On a loop. Yeah, that sure would help us out on that. Again, the end goal is for that thing to the YouTube side of it to kind of get some monetary benefit back to it so that we can pay for the microphones and the 2 turntables and, you know,
Disco ball
that we're acquiring. It's weird though, that disco ball. It's like 14 feet around. I don't know.
just because it was an oversized load coming down the highway. I don't see why the state had a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. But anyway, just jump in there, do the whole thing we talked about. Matt will run back through this list again, but as always, just try to give us those things that you know help us. And if all else fails, join the Patreon. If you feel like you like what we're doing, you like the content, you appreciate it, it's helpful, hit the Patreon. With that, you want to run through the list?
I can do that. So if you ever feel like asking us a question, have a comment or general statement, you can reach out to us at ittasteslikeburningcast@gmail.com. I've already mentioned the Patreon, ittasteslikeburningcast. You can find us on Twitter at ITLBcast. And if you're ever in North Texas and want to see a station and white fire trucks, swing by.
Yeah.
We'll lie to you and share war stories.
Yeah.
This
Take you on a run. This is Jesse.
Have a good evening.